Good morning, good morning, and welcome. Good morning, good day, good afternoon, good evening, depending on where you are in the world. I am your host and facilitator, Dr. Owanda Bennett, and today is our third day of our Enclave Women's Retreat that we're doing online virtual today. We will be joined and assisted by our team in Jamaica. In fact, let me let them in right now. Good morning. She's coming off mute. She'll be coming to the mic briefly. Hello, Sharika. Oh, her light is beautiful. My goodness. You're stunning. I can't hear you, though. I don't know why it won't let you talk. See if your mute is working.
Yes, I was muted.
Oh, good morning and welcome. Thank you for joining us from Jamaica. I also have a special guest this morning I'd like you to meet. She's my sister, my little sister. Her name
Oh,
is Tina
hi.
Matthews. Today is her birthday.
Oh,
And she is on the Enclave. She's been joining us each day, whereas the platform would not comply. She's been jumping up early to be a part. So I thank her, I welcome her, and I wish her the happiest of birthdays on today. Today, Tina will be assisting us. So what I'll do is allow you to welcome. I don't know if she's able to come off mute or onto the screen, but in the meantime, I would like you to welcome us to get us started. And then I want to have Tina, if she will come to the stage, and then I want to wish her happy birthday. And after that, I have 20 spiritual practices for renewal for us. So I want to have you go first, Sharika, and mention Bloom, because I would certainly like to have them know about Bloom.
okay. Hi, everyone. Good morning. Hi, Tina. Happy birthday. I hope you have a phenomenal day today. And I hope Enclave definitely help you to have that phenomenal day. So, good morning, everyone from Jamaica. Yet again, it's Sunday and it's a bright and beautiful day here today. I feel truly blessed to be alive, to be well, and I hope and I trust that you all are too. I want to take this opportunity to welcome you to the final day of the Enclave. I hope that you have found the past few days beneficial. I hope that you've learned something. I hope that you've been blessed. I hope that you have been made whole in some way or form. I hope that Self Care Day was a blessing to you. I was not able to make Self Care Day, but I know my Jamaican friend delivered according to Dr. Bennett. So I hope you all enjoyed that. Today is Spiritual Sunday, and my belief is that we are an extension of spirit. We are spirit. I believe that for the most part, society live as if we are just physical beings. But I know for a fact, based on my experiences, that we are so much more. We are so much more than our physical bodies, our physical environment. And I have been fortunate enough to have experiences time and time again that has allowed me to confirm that we are so much more than physical beings. So today is Spiritual Sunday, and as Dr. Bennett says, she'll be sharing concepts that will help us to dive deeper into ourselves as spiritual beings. So, with that said, I want to welcome you to another day of the Enclave. I almost said Bloom. All right, so my
You should
event.
say Bloom. You should say Bloom so they can know what it is,
Yeah,
please.
no, I was just saying, I almost said welcome to another day of Bloom.
It is, if you think about it,
It
because what we're
is.
doing is we're warming up, aren't we? We're
Yeah.
preparing ourselves to attend Bloom next week.
Yeah, it's next Sunday. So next Sunday at 2 p.m., Bloom will be going live. So we'll be available online and we'll be available in the physical space. So for those of you who are not here in Jamaica, you are welcome to join us online. I'm sure Dr. Davis will share the registration link. So what is Bloom? So Bloom is an old idea, right? Born when I went back and checked the Facebook group, I think it said it was created in 2021 or 2022. I don't remember. But that's how long the idea of Bloom has been in existence. So I created a Facebook group called Bloom back in the day. It was either during COVID or the latter part of COVID when we were starting to go back outside. And the idea of Bloom at that time was to create a space where people can heal and grow spiritually. And that is still the idea of Bloom, except now I have been able to bring it into a physical space where we will be focusing on areas of trauma, imposter syndrome, and the way that we think. We are going to be focusing on uprooting the patterns and the behaviors and the memories that our bodies hold that keeps us trapped into a particular mindset. So that's what Bloom is all about. We will be doing some somatic movements, somatic breathing. We'll be burning. We'll be doing affirmations. You're gonna get your journal. Well, for the persons online, they're required to have their journals. But if you're joining us online, have your have your cushion and your yoga mat ready. Make yourself comfortable. It's approximately 3 to 4 hours, and my intention is to make it truly amazing for the persons who attend. But we really intend to uproot some old patterns of thinking, to teach the body to trust itself, so that we can bloom, right? So that we can truly become the persons that we were created to become. So that is it for Bloom, Dr. Bennett.
Thank you so much. And I wanted to mention to you while you were explaining bloom, whenever you said it, you bloomed. I saw your face bloom. I'm like, oh, it's a flower. So pretty. So amazing. So amazing. Beautiful energy. I will be taking part in Bloom. As you know, I'm registered, I'm signed up. Um, what I would like to do is to ask you if you would just drop the link in the chat, and then I'm going to be posting it around because I'm going to have it on Facebook, Twitter, and Twitch and these different things so that people can get onto it. I would love for them to register and to take part into Bloom. And I wanted to ask if Tina, could you just are you going to be on screen, or are you going to talk to us? Or I want to make sure that I want to yield the stage to you, but I want to make sure that I'm doing it at the right moment. Are you
Hey, can you
available?
hear me?
Oh yes, we can hear you. Oh my gosh. Okay. Happy birthday.
Thank you, sister. Love you. I
I
appreciate
love
that.
you too. You're
I
from
am
my.
here. Is whatever you prefer. If y'all want to look in my face, I didn't do too much today.
I want to look in your grown face.
Come on,
Yes, I do.
I have it where I can be on the camera, but it's not showing up. So that's something
What's
that
going
you
on?
may have
Okay,
to.
hold on. Let me adjust my computer here because
Yeah,
I want to do a little bit of see me colado.
because all week I've been having it where I can be seen and heard, but it's not showing up.
I see it and it's got an X on your camera. You
See,
gave it permission?
I did. I did.
Because I've been wanting to see you.
I've been trying all week, so it must be a technical issue or something that I may have to go into my settings. Let's see.
Let's see what's going on. I'll let you check it out. In the meantime, um, she's making an age today. And look, it lets you flip the camera. It just did it. It like
Yeah,
the
so I know I'm on here, and I have the
I saw it do
standard.
something.
Mm-hmm.
Well,
So
while that's
it's
taking
nothing.
place, I want to tell y'all about this Tina girl. I call her the Tina girl, the captivating Tina
Okay, Miss
Matthews.
Karen.
That captivating Tina Matthews. Um, she has been my baby since she came here. My mama bonded her, but she's been my baby since she came here. Um, she was the first little person that I got to be in charge of. And I still work in children's ministry today. I'm still very connected with kids, but she was the first little person that I got to befriend and behold. And the reason I'm letting you know that is because she's very dear to me. And today, her message. is very powerful for us. Um, Tina works with special needs children in one of the independent school districts here in Texas. And I've watched her evolve in her working, her thinking, and her spiritual journey with these young people. So I asked her to come today and talk to us about that and a few other things. So, what I would like to do is yield the mic to her. And what I'm going to do is allow you to hear that voice that I treasure, that I think is vitally important. And I hope you feel the same way. And then, after she gives us her messages that she has for us, then I will be returning to the mic in order to more closely move us to our next level, which is to move us into 20 very, very powerful spiritual practices that will help you get spiritual renewal. That is my intention. So I'm going to be cute on mute. I'm going to bring Tina to the stage, and there she is. And
I
I'll be
am
cute.
here. Um, First of all, it's telling me that I am able to be shown. So it's a technical issue. I do apologize for that, ladies.
No
Um,
worries. This platform has not been kind to us. So I am going to say, platform, get it together. And I'm going to leave you with the beautiful voice of Tina Matthews. Speak up just a little bit because I want them to hear the fullness and grace that is there. And you're
okay.
good. There you
And
are.
I'm going to also turn my volume up, and preferably that'll be able to be some help. This morning, I want to speak on mental illness, specifically in the area of our youth. Um, we address a lot of mental illness, but sometimes, despite uh, we don't speak about our young people and our young people being judged and misunderstood. The children that I work with every day, I work with children that are ED, which is emotionally disturbed. And when you speak on mental illness, a lot of us we misinterpret that there's not a physical illness. So we would look at that child, that adolescent, and we would say, oh, there's nothing wrong with them because they don't have a physical disability. We have a program in our independent school district that is called GAP. GAP stands for Gaining Appropriate Performances. What I do, the psychiatrists will send me um, their descriptive of what they analyze from a student, from a young adolescent, their diagnosis, and I would help them to identify and also identify their triggers and utilize their coping skills so they can perform as we would in a normal society. With that being said, if we have a student with anger issues, they would be sent to me, or I would go into the classroom with them as a support so they can know how to maneuver and adjust in everyday environments. A lot of you may remember years ago when we dealt with special education, they would put all those babies in one room together and they would also eat lunch together. Everything that they did was together. Well, what we're trying to do is make them a whole for society where they'll be able to have jobs and families and also challenge and juggle the everyday normalcy of the world of our daily life. Mental illness can affect us on in so many different aspects. When we look at mental illness, it's not just affecting that child or that young adult, it's affecting the entire household. Anyone that comes in contact or present with them when they don't understand their emotions or what's going to cause anxiety. We have ADHD that is on the rise. You see so many different patterns in the adolescents at the school. What I've noticed over the past few years, there's something that's been created called a vape. If you're familiar, is anyone familiar with the vape? It's a
Yes, I
chemical.
am, Tina. I've seen
Okay.
it. I've heard of it.
Okay.
Uh-huh.
It is affecting our young adults more than ever. This is something new. It's a chemical based substance that has nicotine or THC for marijuana. And what it's doing is It's just eating our children and anyone that really uses this, their brain cells. It's causing a lot of anger, mood changes, withdrawals, eating disorders, sleeping disorders. They are not able to perform academically. It's declining, but they don't see this because it's a new trend and they like it. It's different fragrances, it's different tastes. The smell is so different now that it smells like air freshener in your house. So you wouldn't even recognize that they could be sitting in the same room with you and vaping. It's unhealthy. Um, and I wanted to highlight that today. So if you know someone that maybe you can encourage them, it's also causing popcorn lungs. It is those vapes are popping their lungs. Is long term effect on their physical and mental, which is causing a lot of disabilities. And it's actually in the school. I want everyone to be mindful because, like I said, it's a different smell. So in the schools is setting our children back drastically. And to be able to see this is very heartbreaking. I wanted to also make you aware that I have firsthand um, interaction with children with mental disabilities because both of my children suffer from ADHD. Also, I deal with bipolar disorder with my children and autism. It's something that is very dear to my heart that I go out there at work and pour into those babies the way I would want someone to pour into my own. So I'm not going to keep you, but today mental illness is on the rise, mostly because drug addiction and use is on the rise. Nicotine, alcoholism, all these can affect your mental um, the the disabilities that are on the rise. Those are the substances that are being used that are causing an increase in mental illness and challenges. You will see most of our teenagers are very angry. They're very defiant and challenged. Not all, but most are under the influence of some sort of controlled substance. And since it's so popular on the social media platform, it's hard for us to redirect and challenge that negative energy. We need to stay prayed up for our youth and mindful that it can be happening in your house every day, in the community every day, and you would be blindfold because they're making it in ways that appear to be um, happy. If I can use that word, if I can think of that, they're making it in a way where the teenagers feel that it makes them happier or can calm them down. But when they're not under the influence of the substance, they are very aggressive. They move sporadically without having any type of awareness of their actions, and that's heartbreaking. Also, what we've put into place at the school level, new devices where it's an alarm when they smoke the vapes now in the restrooms, classrooms, hallways. We have devices which are alarms that goes off as a fire alarm would. So this is something new that we have put in place. Going back to some things that we can do to help the children with mental illness is to assume, not assume that they're disrespectful or that they're doing things intentionally to be defiant. Most are really just struggling, challenging in those areas and want to be better people, but they have been controlled under these substances for so long. And now we have to, as a whole, put things in place, not only in the homes, but in the communities. We have these vape smoke shops that are popping up everywhere on every corner. So Just 2020, um, when we dealt with COVID, a lot of our students were home in environments that were triggering, that were traumatic for them, that caused a lot of mental illness. So these are some things that we have to address with passion, with love and kindness, a lot of patience. Because if you're dealing with someone that is mentally challenged, it can also affect you, where you will find yourself in a place having anxiety or PTSD being around that particular person. So I would advise that you continue to keep yourself covered with prayer. Keep yourself in an environment of positivity and love where someone is able to fill your cup as you're pouring out to other. Mental illness is real. It is not nothing that we should take lightly as if it's something that is not important. It's very important. Depression. We have people that are suffering from depression that is very much so functioning every day, going to work every day, going to school, taking care of their families every day. We need to reach out to our strong people, the people that we feel and see that they're fine. Most are not fine. That's including our children that had suffered from abuse, that had suffered from some sort of trauma. So we need to provide a support environment, a system for our youth that are struggling with these mental illness, open up and allow them to communicate and understand them without judgment. A lot of it's on a rise because our children, our adolescents are ashamed. They're prideful to feel that they don't need to speak with someone or too embarrassed to speak with someone. So it's okay to discuss certain things. You and I, as adults, sometimes have to bring up the topic. How are you? And we have to dig down to the root of asking them, how are you? Take out the time to take out some time of your day if you're around a teenager, a young adult, and love them genuinely and let them know. And that's how I'm able to break through a lot of my students. I treat them as if they're my own. I don't treat them as if they're students. I hug them. I smile with them. I laugh with them. I play. I redirect and discipline. And I also hold them accountable to let them know that this is something that we're going to walk through together and we're going to fight through it together. And I don't allow them to bask in their depression, their behavior disorders, or their anxiety. I tell them, and it's a funny thing, we say return to sender. If they come to me down, sad, first of all, we're going to return that to sender. And then I'm going to sit down and listen to them. We're not going to accept it because you're a victorious, you're not a victim.
Mm, mm.
And so I start that conversation with them and then allow them to open up. But if I accept and begin to bask in their depression, anxiety, or what they're dealing with, then the behavior will continue to escalate and not de escalate. So, if there's any questions that you may have or something that you think that I may miss, uh, please feel free to ask me anything.
I do have a question for you. Would you, in my listening to what's going on, I sense that they're self medicating using these vape devices that you've described to us, Tina. I also wanted to ask you, I feel like you've been fighting this battle on more than one front, on the physical front, the emotional front, and the spiritual front as well. I hear you
Indeed.
taking this battle on. Um, it in your work as a believer and as a woman of faith. I see you embracing these students with these, which I would call it, with neurodiversity issues,
Yes.
because you mentioned the autism, the depression, the bipolar, anything else that they may face. You mentioned coping mechanisms. Tell me a few of those coping skills and share with our team, if you can, a few ways that are acceptable ways of coping. Because I heard there are negative ways of coping through the vaping, maybe a little bit of the defiance, maybe a bit of the checking out.
Exactly.
Um, but what are the positive coping skills that you think we can suggest to them?
Well, Dr. Bennett, yesterday was awesome. They touched on self care.
Yes,
And
without Miss Tanya.
okay, these are some of the ways that actually is a positive way that we can address and utilize our coping skills by breathing, by meditating, by separating ourselves from that triggering environment. It is okay to tell someone because you're actually loving yourself enough to say, hey, I need a minute to step away. And a lot of our students that are in class don't know that they have that right. They can breathe. They can tell that teacher, that instructor, give me just a second and stand on the outside of the door and breathe. If they need to come back into the learning environment, they can do so. They are not aware that they do have that right. They cannot roam the hallway or the school or disrupt the learning environment, but they do have that right. So, breathing, meditating is one way they can use their coping skills. Also, identifying first what are your triggers. Maybe it's a large crowd. Um, I have one student, honestly, the voice of the teacher continued to elevate and trigger them. And the teacher could not understand that. They had been through a lot of trauma. So when that teacher continued to elevate their voice, they would begin to get very angry, very defiant, not shutting down, not wanting to complete the assignment. But as you elevate your voice, everybody deal with everything differently. So that's one way that we can utilize our coping skills is by meditating, self-care, uh, removing yourself from an environment that you know that's a trigger. Stop going back into that's like ripping off the band-aid. I've You have a wound and you're taking the proper measures to heal, and then you going back into that environment and ripping off the band-aid again. Children like to be around their peers, most of them. So if you know everybody's doing this, then you want to be a part of that as well. So that is one way. Yesterday was beautiful. Um, and I do you have a recording of yesterday?
Yes, it's on Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter, Twitch, and YouTube.
Yeah, that is one small way that people don't even recognize how important self care is. It's very important for your mental health, not only for the young adults, but for us as well.
I am so glad that you shared that with us. And Tina, I also want to encourage you to continue. Next year's Enclave will be at Vancouver, Canada. Um, the other thing, too, is that we have Bloom next week. So I will send you the registration information just so you can be aware of the Bloom. And that's Sharika Swaby's event, but it's a healing event. So I will be sending those details forward to you. I also want to ask you, would you share with us a little bit about your spiritual journey? And the reason I say that is because I've been observing, but I didn't know how much of that you wanted to share in terms of how that's helping you help these students.
Most definitely. I'm proud, I'm honored, I'm elated to say put God first
Mhm.
before everything that you do. I am uh, thrilled to express how much I love the Lord. If it had not been for God, and you'll hear the old people say, if it had not been for God on my side, where would I be? That is so true. I am one that should not be able to sit here today. I've also dealt with the loss of a very close relative due to suicide. And it just brought me to a place that you never know. You never know. Just had visit with her less than a month prior. Had an awesome, phenomenal time in Miami. She rolled out the red carpet for me and my children. Always have. So I would tell anybody, put God first. Love your people. Love the people that don't love you. And if they are a trigger, separate yourself. You cannot fix everything. It is not meant for you to fix, it is meant for you to guide with the love of God. Continue to pray.
Thank you so much, Tina. That really resonates with me. I remember that time very, very intimately and how difficult that was, how painful it was, not just for you, but for all of us, because it was such a stunning turn of events. And when I say stunning, I was stuck. I was stuck on why did this happen and what is going on? And it was deeply disturbing from the standpoint that from the outside looking in, we felt like our sister had everything. We
Indeed.
felt like she had it all, and we'd felt that way for a long time because she'd uh, walked in excellence. That's
That's
how I would describe her. She walked in excellence, and a very loving person, very capable woman of God, and we got to watch her unfold and become a beautiful woman. And yeah, losing her was difficult.
it was. I can say, not in a disrespectful manner, but she had lost also her faith with God. She
Mm.
became a non-believer.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Oh
So
my gosh.
I
I
also
didn't know
want to.
that she'd given up on her faith.
Oh, indeed, she moved over to uh, dealing with a lot of uh, sorcery, witchcraft, black magic, something I don't know. But
Ooh.
yeah, you have to.
Oh.
Yeah. Hmm.
Thank you for making me aware because I didn't know. And for me, that's a tough space because I'm like, um, the love of the Lord is my strength. So I would not be strong unless I continue to rely on the Lord. So
That's it. That's it. And I must stand on that because I've been able to experience God, see Him, and also see those that have turned their backs on Him through pain. No matter what you go through, continue to persevere and hold on to your faith. There's always an answer.
um, my spiritual verse, at least for this week, is Psalm 35:4. Oh, magnify the Lord with me and let us exalt his name together. And that's been one of the things that I've enjoyed in our sisterhood is that we get to exalt his name together. So thank you for being a great sister, a prayer partner, uh, an
Thank you.
accountability
Same
partner.
here. Same here. And I do apologize if I was a little distracted. I'm not going to be on here long. I have to actually get to work for 9
Today's
a.m.
your birthday. Run
Yeah, I'm
away.
on my way to work. I'm on 9 to 4 today.
I hear
So
you.
I'm going to get out there and do what I
Thank you for
do.
dropping in. I appreciate you.
I appreciate you for having me. And like I said before I leave the platform, if there's any more questions or concerns or anything that you feel that I missed, please feel free to let me know. I do have resources if needed. Mental illness in the Harris County area. I look, I don't have any in Jamaica, but I know my people over here in Houston. So, and I love y'all. Yeah,
Thank you, Tina. Have a great day. Happy birthday.
thank you.
Onward and upward.
That's it.
All right. Have a
All
great
right.
one.
You too. Thank you.
Bye. That was some very powerful messaging from Tina about the state of our youth and their needs. Sharika, before we continue on and I talk about the 20 spiritual practices, I had a question for you. Is this um, situation, does it exist in Jamaica? Do you have these, are you confronting some of these same issues or not as much in Jamaica? I have a question about that. Hold on, let's see. I'm gonna mute.
Yes, they do actually. They actually do. So I'm a psychology student, and this last semester we actually did a paper on vaping in Jamaica. So yes, it is an issue here in Jamaica. We do have children teenagers, and some younger adults who are vaping, and the issues that she highlighted have been observed. Some of the papers that we read, we know that based on the research material that we read, we know that the situation is dire more in America, but it is coming increasingly popular here in Jamaica and the Caribbean, by extension. So yes, it is an issue here.
I'm so glad that you shared that. I would love to connect you and Tina so that we can know a little bit more about how it's going in Jamaica as opposed to what's going on in the United States here.
Hmm.
Just to see, because she has resources and maybe you have resources and you guys could tie and connect
Right.
those things and build out. And congratulations on your psychology. I feel like my oldest daughter may pursue it. So I'll be reaching back to you to ask you about your experiences in it.
Sure, no problem.
So today I want to talk about 20 spiritual practices that we could use for renewal, but I don't know what your time is like. So you just let me know when you have to hop off, pop off, or anything that you have to run and do. I have my notes here, and as I bring each one up, I will discuss them just a little bit in brief so that we can get a fuller context around these practices that I'm recommending. Um, Unlike you, I'm not a psychologist. My first degree is in biblical counseling, and so I do with the biblical counseling, and I use something called Christ-centered therapy, Christ-centered reality therapy, CCRT. You can find it in the American Psychology Association, but CCRT is a Christ-centered reality therapy, and that's the one that I am mostly familiar with and have my training in. Um, So that's the first thing. So that's where I'm coming from when I'm sharing all of these things with you from a Christ centered reality. And if you say, oh, I'm not Christ centered necessarily, that is entirely okay. Because what I have here, even though it's rooted and grounded in the faith, I feel like it can align with other faiths. So I'm a big eat the fish, spit out the bones person. You do what works for you. So I'm going to give you this information. You may consume it as you see fit, but I say eat the fish, spit out the bones. If it doesn't apply to you, then do not take it. It's not yours. You don't need to deal with that. Just the part that helps you, because I want to speak to your heart right now. So I have 20 spiritual practices. I have my notes here. The first one is daily devotional reading. And when I talk about daily devotional reading, it could be any reading you want. One book that I was really enjoying was called Jesus Calling. I read that one every day. Then I finished that one and went into another one that had 120 confessions for people dealing with anxiety. It was a daily devotional. It had a message, it had a scriptural reference. Then it had a paragraph that would talk about the issue that maybe you were facing that day. And then at the bottom, it had 5 or 6 verses that you can go into in the Bible in order to look at that. So the daily devotional reading is just for a way for you to go in the book, whatever your book of faith is. I use the Bible. You go in there and you obtain what you need. You consume what you need for the day. No different than we fuel up and eat our breakfast. So that's the daily devotional. You feed your soul. It is soul food. The next thing that I use, and I suggest that you may enjoy, prayer and meditation. Prayer and meditation. And in these ways, with the prayer, obviously you're making an outward discussion, a thought that you're expressing audibly. With meditation, you may do what I call ponder in your heart. Okay? But whatever it is, it's you creating a deeper connection with the Creator. It's you centering yourself. And the prayer, I say the prayers of the righteous availeth much. I believe that. Um, one thing that we do as a spiritual practice with sisters, we'll ask them to come alongside us because there's power in agreement. And we'll say we'll touch and agree. We'll touch and agree. So one sister came to me and she says, "Hey, sister, touch and agree with me that this thing will be so." I would like for it to go this way. This is what I'm asking God for. Will you agree with me? And then I'll say, I'll be in agreement on the thing. I'll affirm it. I'll validate it. I will say the precise thing they're praying for. And when it manifests itself, I also praise with them. And also remember, I say, remember, we agreed, and then God did it. So therefore, they get to see someone else that is praying alongside them in collaboration with what it is that their intentions are. And as far as the meditation, it's a seeking of centering inside of yourself. That's what the meditation can do. Third practice, and some of us are using it, fasting. Fasting is a vital key component in your spiritual walk and can be very healthy in terms of aligning you with your faith and your inner man, your inner self, because we all have a mind, a body, and a soul. And when we're doing the fasting, we're telling our body that we're paying attention to our soul. And we're using our mind or our will in order to ensure that we are aligning perfectly. The fasting says to our physical man, hey, right now you're not in charge. Dealing with my spiritual man, me and my mind, we're going over here and we're fasting. Our bodies have electricity inside of them, and the electricity allows us to take and transform anything we consume into something else. So the fasting interrupts that process, and it allows you to develop a deep spiritual awareness. So that's why I'm suggesting the fasting, because I know it to be very powerful, very effective. Gratitude journaling, very key and critical. And the reason I say that is because you're writing down the things that you're grateful and that you're thankful for. And because you're making a note of it, you're mentally in tune, you're physically in tune, and you're writing it down. The dullest pencil is better than the sharpest memory. And you will start off with 5 things at first. Get yourself to be grateful for 5 things. But the journaling will allow you to go back and remember and recall all the good things that have occurred and the things that you were grateful for in each day. If you need an example, I'm grateful for the platform. I'm grateful for the women that are coming alongside of us to educate us. I'm grateful for the opportunity to be a global resource. The Enclave is worldwide, y'all. You know that we're getting hosted in Jamaica. So we have worldwide connections to getting this content out, to discussing our future plans and processes, to talk about our products, our programs, and our positioning. So in the gratefulness journaling, that's your opportunity to go in and write down the things that you are grateful for. Express that gratitude. It does worlds of things for you. It makes what you have enough. Gratitude journaling. The next one we call for Sabbath rest. And we call it Shabbat the Lord, Shabbat, Sabbath. Some people celebrate on a Saturday. Some people Shabbat rest on Sunday. However you decide to rest, one day a week. Rest is where your wisdom lies. It's the reason that we sleep, so that we can be firmly knit back together and restored. The sleep is restorative. The rest is restorative. Notice when you say restore, you cannot get it without the rest inside of it. You absolutely must rest at least one day a week. For those that are working 7 days, 14 days, 10 days straight, I'm praying for your rest so that you can get it. We talk about Shabbat the Lord's Sabbath, being in Sabbath, but then there's another thing called Shakwat the Lord. Shakwat is where you're very still and you're listening, Shakwat. So my hope is that while you're in Sabbath rest, that you're able to Shakwat the Lord, listen to what the Lord has to say to you. So that's important. Number 6, worship in nature. Get outdoors, get the sunlight, get that vitamin D from the sun, but also spend some time worshiping in nature. And I remember when I first, Sharika introduced me to grounding, You were the first person to introduce me to grounding. Would you like to say more a little bit about the being in nature? Because you taught me that.
Absolutely. So from since I was a child, I've always loved nature. I grew up in the country. We had a big backyard with a lot of trees and fruits, and according to my mother, I was always in the dirt, right? So I don't know if there's a connection between that and no, but I have found that being in nature can be very calming. It's one of those things. I have a video on my TikTok, on my Instagram, probably on Facebook too, where I'm sitting in the park and I'm journaling in the morning. It's such an amazing experience to have. Being in nature, it's in itself, it's calming because the energetic field of the earth aligns with your energetic field and it calms you down, it relaxes you, and it raises your vibration. Now if you're doing that, if you're in nature as well as journaling, so for my journaling starts off with gratitude. And if I have anything in particular that I'm working on, maybe I have a belief system that popped up that I didn't know was there, and I'm journaling about that, I'm releasing that. So it would go from gratitude, I'd start there with my journaling, then I'd go to releasing what I'm releasing, and I'll move to affirmations. So I sitting in the park, and that's my process, or I'm thinking about a thought that I had or something. So that's my process, and I'd sit there and I'd meditate and I'd relax. Sometimes I lay in the grass. That's also very good. um a part of, particularly for women, I've never looked into whether or not this is the same for men, but our creative center is in our pelvic region, right? And when we sit on the ground and we meditate on that area, we allow it to heal, and we allow trauma to be released, we allow compassion in, we allow kindness in, we allow love in, and we get centered in nature. Because if you think about it, God is everywhere, right? But in nature, you get to quiet your mind, quiet your energy, quiet your spirit, and you get to just be there and focus on what's happening with your body. You listen to your body. That's a very, very important thing. A part of meditating is, Dr. Bennett mentioned meditation, and I'm a champion for meditation because it's amazing. But if you go out to the park and you sit down somewhere on a bench in the grass in nature, and you just focus on your body, it will tell you where the blocks are, where the negative energy is, what's holding you back. So grounding is phenomenal, and do hug a tree sometime. It's an amazing experience to hug a tree. Put your So for me, when I hug a tree, I generally put my forehead on the tree, and I can feel the vibration of the tree because nature is so alive, you know. So when I hug a tree, I'm able to feel the vibration of the tree, and when my vibration, my heartbeat syncs with that, it raises your vibration. It cleans your energy, and you become expansive, and it's such a transformational experience. So you all should try grounding, you should all try meditating in nature, journaling in nature. It's a phenomenal experience.
Thank you, Sharika. A friend of mine named Verilisa Hunter bought me a grounding mat that I could also use indoors in order to extend my connection. So the grounding mat has been very useful to me, and I love the idea of going outside and grounding in that abdomen area, in that pelvic area, which I call the qua, KUA, the qua, and having it there centered in nature. I got such a powerful visualization when you were describing to me how you go out in nature and just sit there and be aligned. And when you were talking about raising the vibrational levels, I would certainly like us to get together again and go through the map of consciousness and show the levels of vibration for a person so that they could see what we're talking about. We could get a physical picture and then you and I could walk them through those levels together.
I
Um,
think I think I have that on my desktop here somewhere. We could probably share it. Let me
oh,
see.
fantastic. That would be great. That way they could see what those vibrational levels are. I believe, if I'm not mistaken, I may have it too. So, tell you what, we're gonna go through our list, and then afterwards we're gonna come back and have a conversation about it. If you feel comfortable with that, I would love that.
That's fine. No
But
problem.
yes, I really want to have them see that. So we have our worship in nature, which was our number 6 practice. Number 7 is scripture memorization, and that helps me tremendously. Um, I like the one, "Thou shalt decree a thing, and it shall be established for unto you." That's Job 22 and 28. So some of those memory verses can be useful to you, and you hide the word in your heart, and it's important. Thy word have I hidden in my heart that I might not sin against thee. All of these little things can help you as you progress throughout your day. So find yourself some scripture that aligns with your thinking, and put it in your heart and memorize it. Even the very practice of attempting to memorize it is a good spiritual move. Number 8 is acts of service. That is my love language, acts of service. Others are words of affirmation or gifts or quality time or those sorts of things. But mine is acts of service. When you perform an act of service for someone, you are getting outside of yourself and really using your energy, right? Your energy field, which I call the other organ. You have your skin, and then outside of your skin, you have your bio energy. And when you use your energy to serve someone else, it does something for you. Um, Something as simple as bringing someone a drink, something as simple as giving a plate to someone. When you serve another, you grow expansively. You grow expansively. Not out of duress, but by choice you're serving. Very different. Um, if you're serving and you're doing it under duress or because someone else insists that you must, that is truly slavery. If you're not doing it because you want to, if you're not doing it from your heart space, if you're not doing it because you care about the person or because you want to see them evolve and grow and be okay, then that is not the right reason to do the act of service. The act of service should be more than just performative. And it's very much in the how. Like if you were to ask me to maybe give you this phone and I shove it to you, or I toss it to you, I give it to you in some unkind way, then I have not done the service. I just want to be clear on that. The how is just as important as the what you are doing. How you do it matters. So the acts of service should be done in kindness, in care, in loving concern. That is what I believe is the best way forward to perform the acts of service. Number 9 is spiritual retreats. Well, what do you know? That's what we're doing this week. This weekend, for Juneteenth weekend, we're having the Enclave Women's Retreat. We're doing it virtually, hosted by Jamaica. Woo woo! I just got to tell you, having friends there and having caring, strong women there has been a powerful connection in my life. I've learned so much from these retreats. And I'll be doing them in the Woodlands and in Conroe in Texas. And I'll be going to a 4 time a year model quarterly. So right now we just have them annual. I do see Sharika more than once a year, but I will tell you that annually we come together, and then she gives us many gifts of her own understanding. So spiritual retreats are helpful and restorative to the mind and body. Anointing and prayer oil. I have this oil that I got from Jerusalem, but it's got frankincense and myrrh in it and things of that nature. And I use it to anoint parts of my body. Like if I have a pain or elbow, something is giving me an issue, I'll rub a little bit of that oil on there. But also yesterday, our sister Tanya, she's told us about her products. She has soaps, lotions, oils, deodorant, all sorts of things, substances. So when I think about this substance in the anointing or in the prayer oil, I always think of my intention as I'm using it. So when I put it on, it's always intending to bless, to affirm, to connect, to uplift the powerful presence of the person or the thing that I'm anointing. So that oil, I feel like it could also help raise your vibrational level if you use it properly. Then, sacred music and sound. Sacred music and sound. I see a knowing look on your face right now, Sharika. Do you wish to share something with us? Because I see a knowing look on your face, like you know this.
Because music is a powerful force, and we can use music to tune our bodies to different vibrations, because the strings, the different sounds, bells, things like that, they they're able to tap, for example, trauma healing. Sounds can be used for trauma healing, because you can use, when something happens to us, right? We The depth of the emotion that we feel determines the level of the trauma. It determines how embedded it becomes in our bodies. And a rewiring process takes place in your brain. And that process also takes place in your body automatically, because it's the same nervous system. So, what happens is, with certain kinds of music, what you do is you rewire those connections that were created to, and that can help you to heal the trauma, because it's kind of like a displacement that happens with certain kinds of music. So from time to time, I tend to put on like Tibetan drums and things like that on my TV when I'm just moving around, and let it just play, because music is powerful. And just like we have worldly music that gets into the subconscious, and rhythms and beats, certain rhythms and beats tune your body to a certain vibration. So we have to be selective about the music that we listen to. And I, as a Jamaicans, we're very creative with our music. not, not always in the best ways, but we have had some really amazing music that come from here, but we've also had some that are not so amazing, and I've seen the difference in what good music can do and what not so good music can do. So if you find something that makes you feel good, makes you think positively, because that's when you know that you are aligning with the right thing, what how your spirit feels, how your what your thought process is. So choosing the right kind of music is really amazing. And music is one of those ways that I use to raise my vibe in the morning. So yeah, I'm all for that.
So I did see that knowing look. Goodness. Thank you for sharing that with us. I'm a big music a fan as well. And I noticed that when I get the right music, I feel unstoppable. I feel energized. I feel enhanced. I feel connected. And I'll get a song and it'll make me happy, and I'll have it throughout the day and hum it as I feel it. So I want to do this, Sharika, because I feel like our family, friends, and fans that are visiting with us online, I want to give them an opportunity to stretch because we've done about an hour of content. So I want to give us a 10-minute break to just go and drink some water, get connected with the earth, and come back. And I'm going to put that on. I'm leaving the studio open. So then what I'm going to do is I'm going to go off camera and I'll cue on mute, and then I'll come back with our number 12 with my notes and go through those. So thank you so much, and I'll see you everyone in about 10 minutes. Hearts and hugs, and thank you so much. Hello, hello, and welcome. We are returning to talk about the spiritual practices that I was suggesting. We're on number 12, I believe, and I'm about to bring myself to the stage here. Hello. Hi there. So we gotten to our music, which was wonderful. We got to visit on that. The next one is from the sacred music and sound that we were talking about. Number 12 is very uh, important, very vital. Confession and forgiveness. Forgiveness. And I watched a broadcast sometime back of a man describing a grudge he was holding towards someone. Someone had done something very physically bad to him. And every time he saw that person, he would do that person something. He would retaliate. He held the grudge, but he would physically retaliate. So one time he saw the man, he shot him, and he get in a car and run away. Then sometime later he sees him again. This time they're incarcerated, both of them. He sees him in jail. He fights him. That's that time. Then the final time that he saw him, the man was quite advanced in his age. He was in the Walmart, which is our local place of purchase. Our store. And the man was in a walker. He was in Walmart. And the grudge came back to his mind. And he told his mom, Mom, go get in the car. Go get in the car, Mom. Because he's going to do it again. He's going to retaliate. And in that moment, the man said, Stop. Look, listen to me carefully. When I did those terrible things to you, I was on drugs. I'm an old person now. I do not wish to fight you. I do not want to have this again. You keep on with it, and you've had your chances. It's enough now. We're not going to do it anymore. And so the man, even though he still felt the grudge, he did not retaliate again. But what made it funny to me is that his intention, every time he saw him, was to get his lick back. And what I'm talking about, get the lick back, um, when we were younger, we had a practice. We hit people, and we call it a lick. And if they hit us, we were always bound and determined that we would get our lick back. We would get a lick back. They got us that one time. We're going to get them. The plan was, I'm getting my lick back. That's what we would say to each other. I'm getting my lick back. It's coming. And that was our way of saying, not only did we not forgive, but we intended to retaliate. We had a strong intention to retaliate. So that's why this one is called confession and forgiveness. Confession is, I have been hurt. Something has happened to me. I confess that. I confess that I'm angry about it. I confess that I may even want my lick back. Okay? But I choose not to retaliate, and I choose to forgive. I choose deliberately, with intention, to not retaliate and to forgive. That's why it's called confession and forgiveness. Because if you forgive and you just mute about it, but if you confess, yes, that hurt me, yes, and you may encounter this in business life. You may get disrespectful, condescending messages. You may even have in work life people steal your work and your idea and claim it as their own. You may have all of this other thing. At least that's been my lived experience. Or either want you to do the work and put their name on it. Stuff like this. All the time happening. So I confess to release those things and not to make it a part of my mental hygiene. I work to keep exceedingly good mental hygiene. Keep those dirty thoughts out of my mind. Keep that iniquity out of my mind. Keep the hatred, the desire to retaliate. When something happens very traumatic or upsetting, I'll say something like, I'm leaving it at the altar, which means I've submitted it to God. I've just left it with Him. Because if I hold it, if I handle it any longer, all that's going to happen is your heat's going to rise. And the temperature of your feeling about it will escalate. And that's why you can't handle it, because it will burn you. Being angry, being caught up, Not confessing it is like taking poison and waiting for the other person to die. It's not going to happen. You're going to die because you did not confess it. Get it out of you. That's the whole point of confessing it. If you never say anything about it, it'll continue to establish a bitter root inside of your soul. It will manifest. And the reason it'll manifest is because even though you haven't released it, since you haven't released it, it's inside of you boiling. It's still boiling. It's still hot and creating anger inside of you. And what will that do? Keep that bitter root growing. And maybe even the desire to retaliate may be in there as well. That's why you must confess and forgive. Confess. Yes, this made me angry. Another way, pissed off, aggravated, hot, mad. Hmm? All these things, there are many different words, but you got this feeling, this emotion, and unless you contend with it, unless you unpack it, unless you confess it and bring it out to the light, it will continue to thrive and grow in the dark. It could even lead to some poor outcomes. How do you forgive? You got to do it completely. I can only do it with the help of the Lord. I cannot do it by myself. Forgiveness is very difficult for me. I guess that's why I felt when the guy was holding the grudges, I was laughing because I felt that I'm that way too. I just don't retaliate. Well, could you build on that a little bit, Sharika? Have you had that where you were like, I need my lick back?
Um, I did have that at one point, but
Mm-hmm.
before I touch on that though, I want to add something to what you said about forgiveness. Sometimes we go through some experiences in life, and yes, they did hurt us, they did cause us harm, they did cause us some pain. But what we don't realize is that the reliving of this experience actually makes it more painful for us. When the other person may have moved on, they probably didn't even know that they hurt you the way that they did. And you are over here, you are reliving this experience every single day. Now, remember, the mind does not know, the brain doesn't know the difference between a lived experience and a memory or an imagined experience. So, if someone did something physically to harm you or something that harmed you emotionally, and you get up every day and you are constantly reliving that experience, you are you are re-traumatizing yourself every single time you do that. So it becomes heavier and heavier, and you become blocked spiritually, emotionally, and sometimes physically, because at the end of the day, these things actually create roadblocks to our progress, because over time it's going to inhibit your way of thinking, it's going to inhibit your creativity, it's going to inhibit how you live your life overall. So it's important that when something happens, we do our best to release that something, to let it go, to not let it control us, to not let our lives be about it. And we tend to sit down and we ruminate, and we play the victim. And I'm not saying that something didn't happen to you here. I'm not saying that you didn't get hurt. Yes, you did. I have been hurt, right? But what I found is, as Dr. Bennett was saying, when I sat down and I replayed it and I replayed it and I replayed it, and the anger began to set in and the frustration began to set in, it was so heavy. It was so heavy. It was more than spiritually and emotionally heavy. I started to feel that heaviness within my body. And for a lot of people, we have gotten so accustomed to the heaviness that we think it's normal and it's okay and it's a part, that's how it should be, but it's not, right? So the releasing of those things, and I've had occasions where I'm like, yeah, I hope that happens to you one day and you will get to see you will get to see what you did to me, But I have since let that go, and I have since wished that person peace, and I wish them the best of life, because I find that me wishing that for somebody, me wanting that for someone, is I'm literally harming myself, because out of the heart, right? Whatever we think and speak comes out of our own hearts. So if we sit there and we ruminate over something, and you're wishing this ill on somebody, what we don't understand is that we're also wishing this ill on ourselves, because we exist in the same space, and whatever we speak, whatever we think, it comes back to us. So nothing that we do escapes our own reality. Even in Jamaica, we have a saying: when you're digging. So in Patois, it's when you dig ditch, dig two. In English, it's when you are digging a hole or a ditch, you dig two. Which means if you are wishing something, if you're wishing or doing something harmful for somebody else, be prepared for that same harm to be done to you. And that is what we do when we settle with the trauma, and we do not forgive, and we do not let go, and we do not release. So for me, it's been letting all of that go has been a very freeing experience for me. It has allowed me to grow spiritually, emotionally, and it has let an extensive amount of love and compassion into my life. So while that painful experience was hurtful, what has happened to me is I it has allowed me to love on a deeper level. It has allowed me to expand in a way that I can have compassion for others on a different level. It's as if I know it has opened my understanding to what people may or can go through, what they have gone through, and how they may have been dealing with the situation, how it has affected them. Dr. Bennett, your camera is flipped. How it has affected them, and what they may be dealing with. So practicing forgiveness is like, it's golden, and Dr. Bennett will tell you, she has read my book. There's a full 7 days of that in there for that very purpose, because it's the beginning of any healing journey that you ever go on, whether it's an important thing about forgiveness is we have to forgive ourselves. That is very crucial, because we tend to forgive other people and we don't forgive ourselves, right? We're still playing the self-blame, we're still playing the victim, we're still torturing ourselves about a mistake that we made. We have to let that go, because there is no growth without self-forgiveness. That's where I hand over the mic, Dr. Benning.
I wanted to ask if you would show Introduction to Freedom just so they could see it again. I know you have it
Sure.
handy from the other day with day one. I want you guys to see this book, buy this book, get this book. I'm gonna be posting about it. And Sharika, that's Introduction to Freedom. I want us to have a session on it one day where we're just talking about the book together.
Sure,
And
absolutely.
I'm opening that on my platform, on my podcast, for
No
us to talk
problem.
about that book. And I would even hope that at some point we can get together a group of women and work through it as a practice in the enclave, like have a retreat weekend where all we did was Introduction to Freedom and breaking free and getting those breakthroughs that are so vitally important to us right now.
Absolutely.
I
I
would
would love
definitely love
that.
that. Yes, me too. um the next one the next spiritual practice that I want us to walk into, and I wanted to thank you for adding to the forgiveness, because I know I'll be digging two ditches. Yes ma'am. Yes ma'am.
Oh my
I'll be like,
gosh.
yep, I got a box for me, got a box for you. We both gonna handle it. This is how it's going to be.
Oh my
Low
goodness.
vibration. No, I was like, yeah, I don't like it. I see you. I know what you did over there. You know this thing. So, I may be educated, but I'm continually evolving. So pray for me. That's all I can say. Pray for me.
Uh,
Um, The next spiritual what alignment restorative practice is creative expression. Creative expression, drawing, dancing, making music, painting, um, singing, all of these things, just creative, you know. Um, One of the kids asked me the difference between knitting and crocheting, and I was explaining it to them. And I said, "Oh, no, let me show you because I can crochet, I cannot knit." But just being able to make something, to create something. Another thing that we do is we go and we paint ceramics. We'll paint different things and then we'll have them fired and then we'll come back. And when we do them, they're dull. They're dull on the outside. When we paint them, it soaks into the actual item. It's dull, but we painted it. We're so proud. But the day we get back and that item has been fired, it shines, it glistens. It's a finished work. Hmm? A finished work. And that's that whole process that the painting made brought us joy. But then receiving our work back, polished and finished, made us even happier. I'm sure the same thing happened for you, Sharika, when you made your book and then you got your first copy of your book. Did you not feel joy at that moment?
I d- so there was it almost felt like, oh my gosh, this is my work. You know,
Yes.
I did this. I actually did this. I published a book. It's printed. It's in my hand. So that was an amazing experience. Absolutely. It was good. It was really good. And it's interesting because sometimes I still pick that book up. Now, I know there are people who have published probably 20 books, but there you're muted, Dr. Bennett. But there are moments when I still pick that book up. And by the way, Dr. Bennett, since you've bought it, I've actually added journaling pages. So so now you can use the book as it has its journaling pages, so you don't have to have a journal with it to work through the book. So I've added journaling pages. But when I take the book up, and sometimes I still go, yes, Sharika, you did this. This was your work. It's published. People are purchasing it. It's changing lives. It's helping others. So yeah, that was an amazing experience. And dancing is great too. I've done some dancing, and I plan to go learn the drums. I've been feeling the drum vibes, you know? So that's what I'm doing next.
What makes me happy about the drumming, I would love to hear you do the drum.
Yeah, me
I'm
too.
most fascinated by the drumming. That's going to be great.
Yeah.
So the creative expression, it also releases an enormous energy field, great power. Um, I love to watch performances where the artists are just simply taking away with the music they're making. Um, I recently got to see Lenny Kravitz. He's a guitarist. I recently saw him go to the stage and just really rock out with his guitar. And to watch him be in that creative expression was really, really fantastic for me.
Mm-hmm.
So when you are doing your creative expression, it is you giving your gift back to the world, giving your expression of your creativity back to the world. It's an enormous thing.
Yeah.
Thank you, Sharika.
You're welcome.
The next one is not easy, but important. Spiritual mentorship. It is powerful. I have been mentored by many seasoned saints, but also by even children with their level of faith and their connection to the Most High. Um, the spiritual mentorship is you coming alongside someone and helping them in their spiritual development. And you could do it like seasoning with salt. Sometimes you can be too salty and over seasoned, but other times just a little bit of salt, a little bit of light that you bring to it. I'll give you an example. I have a grandson. His name is Taj. He is 6 years old, and he's very intense about his love of God. He loves God. And at New Year's, we always say our intentions, what we're grateful for, that thing. But when he came to his turn to express what he was grateful for, He says, I am grateful for the God. And his brother, who's much older, much wiser, attempted to correct it. He's like, no, I said what I mean. I mean the God. And I'm like, oh, yeah, that's important. That you did say that. We're going to respect your words because you said we're going to respect it. But that was his intention. He meant what he said, and he was not going to budge.
Yeah.
And to me, that's that little bit of strength, that little bit of salt mentored to me in my spirit. I said, I should be just as dogmatic. I said what I said. I don't apologize. Those are my words. I made my statement. He said what he was grateful for in his moment. So that spiritual mentorship can come up and show up in a number of ways. I've been mentored before by a lady named Brenda Justice Black. When it came time to run for the Lord, she's the person that helped me lace up my track shoes. She's the one that helped me get ready to get out there and serve the Lord and do it in such a way that I was unashamed, unapologetic, and willing to submit. So when I launched my career as a VBS director, Vacation Bible School director, and began doing children's ministry, very intentionally, what it allowed and the fruit of that is that we have children's ministry now in Liberia. It's called Ignite. In God's name, I tell everybody. It's in Liberia, Nigeria. It's in Ghana. And I've tried to get it to Zimbabwe. They say no, thank you. But my intention is that it will be there as well. And these children's ministries are spiritual mentorship. I get over there. I work with them as the director. I appoint an overseer over there that will oversee the program, and they run it. They direct on the ground, and all I do from this side is provide curriculum, context, leadership, focus, intention, so that we're working with them. It's a leadership development program, is essentially what it is, in the spiritual mentorship. Um, One of the ways that you can enhance this is to meet regularly with someone and let them be your partner. And some people have prayer partners. That's a form of spiritual mentorship as well, where they come along and pray together. That's another form of spiritual mentorship. My 15th spiritual practice that I'd like to talk about is called Lectio Divina. Lectio Divina. And it's introduced to me by Cretia Lane. And what it is a meditative way of reading the scripture. So you read it, for example, and then once you read it slowly and you reflect on it and you respond to it and you rest in it. So you're to read it, recite it, respond to it, and rest in it. That's the Lectio Divina practice. And it's you allowing the word to transform your life. So you read it, and you're doing it slowly. You're not trying to rush through. You're very, very paced with it, very methodical. You read it, you recite it, you respond to it. How does that make you feel? What emotion does it bring forth when you read it? Is it gladness? Is it sadness? Is it awe? Is it connectedness? Is it reproof and rebuke? Do you read it and go, oh, he's talking about me. Oh, he's talking to me about me. And then you rest in it. You allow yourself to fully rest in it. The 16th practice, and this is one that I feel that others may find controversial, but I found it spirit building, and it's prophetic visioning. Prophetic visioning. And with the prophetic visioning, some people call it visualization, which is working. But prophetic visioning to me is influenced and informed by the word of God, and that you're just got your belief system cloaked there, and then you breathe your vision through the lens of God. So let's say I'm visualizing, like I visualize this. I wanted this to happen, and God has allowed it to happen. But when I was in my prophetic vision, I saw it a little bit differently than actually turned out. I saw it going off without a hitch. I saw no error, no technical problem. So when I had the technical, I was like, "Ah, this is not my vision. This is not what I visualized." But that's okay. That's okay. It is coming to pass and manifesting. And right now I'm annual. I'm on my way to quarterly. And what I'm learning is that while I'm doing this annually, I will get better and better so that I can do quarterly and perform quarterly. So then you'll have Enclave Spring, one for fall, one for summer, one for winter. There'll be an Enclave in every season. Well, that's what my prophetic vision told me. Wow, that's number 60. What do you think of that one, Sharika?
I actually like the prophetic visioning, and as you were saying that, something came to mind, right?
Mm.
We're always envisioning. We are always envisioning because our minds are always processing things. I think, and in that we're always envisioning and we're always creating. And that is why we have to do it purposefully. Because whether we think we're doing it or not, we're doing it. So if you take the reins and do it purposefully, then at least you know you are very purposeful about what you're creating and what you're envisioning, and as you said, you prophetic, you're doing it from a place of God. A lot of our thinking, our default thinking is negative. And
Mm.
that's not because we don't have God within us or not. It's our survival mechanism. Our brain always say duck and cover because it's not safe, right? So that is how we are programmed by default through our ancestors and what they had to do to survive, how they had to run from the animals and the saber-toothed tiger and all of that. So we have that automatically built into us because that's how we survived until now, right? Unfortunately, that even though we no longer live in that age, that part of, and we have developed creative thinking, our prefrontal cortex has developed, we, that part of our brain is still very active. It is still
I
very
agree.
active. Huh?
I agree. I agree with you. In
Yeah.
fact, when we use our visioning, our visualization, and our thought process to worry or to have fear, it's us projecting that into the future. It's
Mm-hmm.
us creating that space. It's us in our mindset submitting. That's all that fear, worry, and anxiety is the visioning of a negative event in the future,
Yeah.
waiting for the other shoe to drop, that sort of thing, investing our time, energy, and effort on going, oh no, I hope that doesn't happen. Instead
Yeah.
of answering this question, what would I love to happen? Very different. What would I
Mm-hmm.
love to happen?
And so that prophetic envision, as I've never heard it called that before, but I like that. What that does is it gives you something to focus on, and even if you don't know how it's going to happen, you have faith. So for me, what I do every single day, like I like to post on my status all the time, God and I, because when I envision the things that come to me, right, the things I want to create, the things I want to bring into reality in this lifetime, when I envision those things, I believe them 100% that they're possible. However, the how, I have no clue, right? So what I do is I say, okay, God, I trust you and I have complete faith, and I leave it there. Because if I do anything else, if I think about it in any other way, I am going to let that fear and anxiety rush in. And when I do that, I am creating from that space. So we're always creating, we're always envisioning something. So when you do it purposefully, you give your mind something to focus on. And yes, doubt is going to pop in because our minds are wired to duck and cover automatically. So what we have, that's where the faith and the trust and the confidence comes in. But we're always creating.
I love that. Um, when you were talking about it, it reminded me that the word says to take those thoughts captive, and that is why, with purpose and intention, we should be directing our thoughts. Yes?
Mm-hmm.
I feel like you thrive too in that positive creative space to generate something that blesses. Mhm. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
All right, we just have a few more. Uh, soaking prayer. Soaking prayer. You may have heard of soaking worship. In fact, you can put that in your YouTube and it will find you soaking music, soaking worship, soaking. But I talk about soaking prayer. And it's simply to rest in God's presence as you are praying, to invite the Holy Spirit in and just lay there and let it be a part of you. And allow God to just wash over you and allow your prayer to go up into its highest space, into yourself as your highest form. And just allowing that prayer to not be in a hurry, say, okay, God, I love you, thank you, bye-bye, moving on. I'll see you later, God, that kind of thing. Because he is ever present, ever with us. A lot of times people say amen and walk out. I'm like, what if he has something to tell you? You finish?
Yeah.
You go. You go, you didn't even see if he had anything to say. Okay, let me back up. Let me say something. I was a skeptic at first. When people say God talked to me, I'd be like, sure. Really? What did he say to you, huh? What is God telling you? I don't know about this. I was side eye, very salty, very skeptical. Very skeptical when they say this thing. God said this, God said that. He talked to you, really? Until he
Mm-hmm.
talked to me. And then I was nervous when I audibly heard the voice of God in my thinking. Um, it happened to me in the fall of 2008. Okay? This is when it happened. I've been a believer. I've been a woman of faith for many years, but then God truly spoke to me. And I was like, wait a minute. Because I was doubtful when I heard other people. I would look at them and be like, God, what's God saying to you? I was very suspect. But then when it happened to me, so what did God tell me? There was another lady, her name was Sister Delk. I was having my first retreat. I was having my first enclave in 2008. Had my first. I didn't know I would keep doing. I had my first. 2008 in San Antonio, Texas. We have it. It wasn't called the enclave then. We just did a women's retreat.
Mm-hmm.
And I was the host, but the speakers were coming. Sister Delk was talking, and then a thought came to me, or the Lord spoke to me and said, wash their feet. And I'm like, wash feet? I'm a highly successful consultant. I do not do feet. God, if that is you talking, I do not play with people's feet. They toes, none of that will be in my spirit. I'm not gonna work with no feet. Think to myself, I ain't messing with no feet. But that's what come. That's what he said. Wash their feet. I'd never done it before, nor seen it done. Only heard about it, reading about it. Don't know the things. Don't know that. Didn't know it was a spiritual practice at Easter. Didn't know any of that. So it was just wasn't a part of my lived experience. I never been to one. I never been invited. Never knew.
No
But I heard
communion.
about it. The washing of the feet. I
No
would never
communion.
been. Yeah, I was raised Catholic. They do it, but I just never went to one. I never knew about the feet. So when the idea of coming washing the feet, I was like, oh no, not I. So I thought. So I went to as finished as soon as Sister Delk was done with her messaging. I come to her, I say, Sister Delk, I think God is talking to me. I don't know. She said, do it. I said, well, I want to tell you. She said, I don't even want to hear what he said. You do it. I was like, what? You don't even want to hear what came? And she's like, nope. I don't even care. You do it. Whatever he say, do it. I was like, oh, the nerve. She said, do it. She don't even know what he asking me to do. So the thought, the intention, I was consumed with it all day. People were talking to me and I was floating through space. All I knew is I had a compulsion. I felt compelled. I was had to wash their feet. I did not know these women. They were not my friends, family or friends or fans. None of them were really close. I had known them. Some of them I knew from church. Others were guests of the retreat. Many of them had come from out of town to meet us in San Antonio. We were coming visiting from Houston, Texas, some in another city. These are very unfamiliar feet. So it won't leave me. It won't leave me. I cannot rest. I feel compelled the entire day. So we happen to stop at Walmart. I relent. I go and buy beautiful soap, the lavender smell. I buy a thing to put the feet in, buy several towels, buy hand sanitizer, all these things to do the feet. I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it. But I haven't talked to anyone about it. So we get back to our room, and we're in the presidential suite of a hotel. It's big. I've got a room for all of us, many beds, many different areas. And they're going to sit down and play games. And I love games. It's my number one thing. I want to always play. That's me. If it's not fun, I'm done. If it's boring, I'm not going. That's me. Okay? It was not fun. So we were going to play. And then I said, oh, play. Time out, please. No, please stop. Hold it. I cannot play. I said, I cannot play. I said, the Lord is telling me to wash your feet. I got to wash your feet. And I asked Sister Ghostin to say, find in the Bible where it say wash their feet. I don't even know. She's much more learned than me at that point. So she finds it, Jesus, not Jesus washing their feet, the disciples' feet. She finds the first one with a lady washing Jesus' feet with her hair and her tears. And I'm like, oh, no, no, no. That's not the one I'm thinking. Find the other one. So she finds the other one where Jesus is washing the disciples' feet. That's the one I wanted to. No tear, no hair. I wanted the other one where he's washing their feet. And so she reads it. We reflect on it briefly. And then I invite them. I say, will you be kind enough to allow me to wash your feet, all of you? And they agreed. And they set up the chairs. We put on some praise music. And I begin. And I'm totally silent. I don't talk to anybody. I just go. And I start, I'm just washing feet. I'm washing. I don't see these people. I just see the feet. I'm doing the things and washing, emptying the water, remaking it, new towels, thinking of this process, doing it repeatedly. And I don't see a person. I just do what I'm told. And in that moment, I felt complete. I felt content. I felt peaceful and I felt joy while I was doing it. The entire time, I was just going. And I was not inside of myself. I was just serving. And I did all of them. I did all of them. And there had to be 12 or 13 of us. And then someone turned me around and washed my feet. And it was great. And then when I looked down, it was my first lady for church. It was my pastor's wife. She washed my feet. And that was a really honor gift because I hadn't had anyone do it before this in this manner. So that was a beautiful experience. I got blessed by it. But the anointing is in the instructions. The anointing is in the instructions. He told me what to do. He did not tell me why. He did not tell me how. He simply said to do. And I did. Next day, we women reconvene. We're going around talking about what we've learned over the weekend, having our time to reflect. And a lady, not known to me, had talked about how she had a car accident where her foot was hyperextended to her shoulder. Her foot was turned this way, so the knee went the wrong way. This had hurt. And she said she was in dreadful pain and had not been able to sleep. And that she slept that night. Her pain was not there. Her pain was gone. God did that. You have to be a willing vessel. You have to be willing to follow the instructions. So, when He gives you something to do, the anointing is in the instructions, and the execution, He will provide you the fuel to get it done. Because I had not never done it, okay? I could have missed the feet. I could have been punching the feet. I could have been angry. Could have been unwilling to do the thing, okay? So the willingness to perform, that's what I learned in that time. So the powerful soaking prayer, get yourself into it and see what it does for you. I believe it will restore. The next one, 18, scripture writing. This was a challenge for me. Not that I have dysgraphia, but I am a doctor, and I write somewhere between doctor and dentist. Can you read it? Maybe, maybe not. Sometimes I'll go back and go, I wrote this. What does it say? What is it saying? What am I doing? So the scripture writing is where I challenge myself to very carefully write it so that I can read it later. It'll help me with my memorization if I want it. But the scripture writing, you're just copying it down, and you can do it from any version that you like. Right now, I have the children reading the Gen Z Bible. It's a big, thick Bible, very thick Gen Z Bible. Tiny print. I cannot see it. I'm glad I give it to them because I cannot read that one. But the Gen Z Bible, one of my sisters looked at it. She's like, "Oh no, no, no! This Bible is bad. It has cuss words in it and other things." And I said, "Oh no, they're talking in the vernacular today because that's how they talk. It's written how they talk. It'll say, oh, such and such was sus, and they were this, and then they were all cap and all this. They were using their slang, their language, their way of talking. It will not be like ours. Even me, my favorite version of the Bible is the King James, has a lot of thee, thous, arts, and wherefores, and things ended in eth, and people be like, oh no, that one's too hard, but I prefer that one. It sounds like poetry to me. So once you get that in, you write the scripture to internalize it, and then there's a connection between you copying it and feeling it. You will get an emotive expression out of that. I feel like it would benefit you greatly. Scripture writing, where you're copying it in your own handwriting. And when you journal or go back, and many years later, you go back and see where you wrote that passage, you will surprise yourself and feed yourself yet again. Number 19, candlelight reflection. Candlelight reflection. And that's where you light a candle and you just sit there and just, you're praying. You light the candle. And candle lighting had always been a practice for me as a Catholic when I was practicing fully. But this is a prayer intention. We light a candle for people. I remember I kept a candle burning for my brother. He was lost to me for several years, and I kept buying candles, lighting them, burning them for him because I wanted him to come home. I just wanted him to come home to be okay. I did not know where in the world he was. I had lost connection with him, and I was scared. I was frightened, and I said, I'm gonna deal with my frightenness. I'm not gonna feed fear. I'm gonna feed my faith. I'm gonna light this candle in faith, light the way for him to come back, for us to come back into brother sisterhood, for me to see him, hear him, know that he's okay, hear his voice, this thing, because it hurt me that I could not reach him. That's where I was, a painful space. And after many candles, he did return. And now we talk once a week. He knows that look, I said, I'm out of the candle business, buddy. You better stay in touch with me. I need to know you're okay. I'm out of the candle business. You cost me a lot of money trying to buy these candles, trying to understand where you are. I was trying to buy these candles all the time. And let me tell you, on accident, one of my daughters, she blew it out. And I swapped her. I was like, why you touch my things? I don't touch your things. Why you blow my candle out? But she did not know why, because I was very much in my vertical. Vertical is when you're only talking with God. Nobody else, the people, you don't even like the people. You just love God and you only with God. People, you're like, they're extra. I only want God. So I was in that very much space. Didn't talk to people about my faith. Didn't talk to them about God at all. All I said is, it's me and God. That's all I was, this is all. Um, and so that's how I was, very much narrow, narrow, narrow. Okay. So because he was working on me, he broke me through and open. And it's horizontal, kind of like the cross. Now I'm working on my horizontal with people, which is different for me, which I'm glad about. But yes, that candlelight reflection can be healing. And it helped me When I see the candle lit, I say, that's my faith at work over there. I'm still believing. I'm still believing I'm going to see his face. I'm going to hold him in my arms. I'm going to hear his voice. And when God answered my prayer and I blew the candle out, okay, that was a celebration because we were restored. That's what that's for. Lastly, spiritual declarations. Oh, so powerful. The one I want to talk to you about, the one spiritual declaration I want to talk to you about is I am. I am. This is when people, I am healed. I am whole. I am sufficient. I am in the fullness of Christ. I am God's child. I am powerful. I am creative. I am whole. I am learning. I am focused. You want to go off with I am and say positive things behind it and not negative things. If you say I am and do a negative thing, you're taking the name of God in vain. His name is I am. He said, tell him I am sent you. I am. So don't say I am. Wah, wah, wah. You stay from the negative words. In 2018, I suffered a stroke. Lost the ability to walk, talk, do the things. Well, talk not so much, but everything else. And in my mind, I had an issue was created with my memory. Well, my memory, I have fantastic memory. I can remember 100 names at once, favorite color, favorite animal, all this at once. I had a system I used to make my memory very strong, and I'd lost my memory. And I was saying things, and I was beginning to confess the incorrect thing out of my mouth. But once I became back to my powerful confession, I am healing. I am regaining my memory. I am focusing well. I am building my understanding. I am connecting with this content. I am capable. And I was afraid at first because I thought I'd lost my capability, my ability to teach, my ability to work with others. Because what had happened is that the memory was broken where I could tell you everything about yourself, but I could not remember your name. So I can remember you had 2 children, you owned a cat, that you hated grapes, your favorite color was orange, but I did not know your name. And that was frightening. And I went through a season like that for about maybe 6 weeks. And I knew that I had to teach because I was out of work for a month and then I had to go back to work. And my working was teaching. I had to teach classes, very involved, very specific. If it had not been for the Lord and my great notes, because I'm a note taker, my notes brought my memory back. I was able to perform my work. But in order to get through the time when I could not remember the person's name, I'm very, very comfortable with some people. So I can call him baby, darling, sweetheart, my love, wonderful one, or fearless one. Or I could say, baby, honey, sweetie. There was no problem because this was my way of talking. So because I forget their name, they can become the sweetheart baby. They were okay because they know I talk that way. So I could not remember. So until I could remember, or until they said their name, and then I go, oh, aha, okay, until I got to remember. Yes, that was my way of working. I was very glad that people were comfortable with me that way. So if I call them baby or darling or sweetheart, they did not feel offended or get like, what is she doing? What is that? That's my normal way of working. So that was okay for them. But it got me through my season where I could not recall. So that's what that spiritual declarations can do for you. It can help you break free of very difficult trials. I am winning. I am victorious. I am achieving. I am growing. I am aware. I am conscious. I am purposeful. I am intentional. I am making wise choices. I am actively pursuing what God has for me. I am achieving my goals. I see you. I see you there, Sharika. What are you going to share with us? I am thrilled. Tell me.
I love I am.
Hmm.
Um, as you said before, I am is the name of God. And when we say the word I am, and this is my interpretation of what happens when we say I am. So God operates in the spiritual space, right? He doesn't operate in the physical space. However, what we create happens spiritually first before it happens physically. And when we say I am, it's the permission that we're giving. So if I say I am amazing, that is what I'm confirming. That's what I'm choosing. That's
Mm,
what I'm accepting. That's what I'm creating.
mm,
Right? If I say I am glorious, if I say I'm phenomenal, if I say I'm beautiful, if I say I'm kind, if I say I'm blessed and highly favored, that's my confirmation. That's my choosing. That's what I'm creating. That's what I'm accepting. That's what I'm giving God permission to put in my physical reality. And the same applies when we do it with negative words.
I
Because
love that. I am receiving that fully.
it's what we're choosing. So I was looking for, I was actually looking for a scripture that I had placed in an introduction to freedom that spoke to what we say and what comes from the heart. I don't even remember where in there I had placed it, but it talks about what comes from the heart. And Dr.
Is it as a man thinketh in his heart, so is he?
No, it's the one that says keep your heart. Let me see if it's the one that
Oh,
says for out of it all things
flows the
flow.
issues of life. Yes.
Yes, that one there. And that's why everything that we've talked about earlier, it all rolls into this I am. Because let's go back to forgiveness for a minute. If we think about forgiveness, if we're sitting in unforgiveness, if we're sitting in bitterness, if we're sitting in anger, it's not easy for you to say a positive I am statements, because from your heart is what you're going to say is what is coming from your heart. And if you're sitting in bitterness and anger and fear and frustration and guilt, then your I am statements automatically are going to match up with what is coming from your inside, right? And so it's important that we cleanse from inside. It's important that our growth happens from within us and not from without us, because we can only pretend for so long. So we can say nice things in front of others, but behind closed doors, we are not very kind to ourselves, and that's when it really matters. We might go out and we have friends and we laugh and we talk good things, but if when you go home in the quiet, when you're focused, if when you are there by yourself, your thought process is not up to par with what you received when you go out there, that's gonna take precedence. Because in your calm, in your quiet, this is when you're really creating what you are building. That's really when where you are becoming. The exposure that you have, just it was just like a wind passing through. But essentially, you really are creating when you are in peace and quiet, when you're in that quiet place by yourself. So everything that you spoke about, it all comes down to I am. It's so funny that you ended with that. But if you're not okay on the inside, if your heart is not okay, those I am statements, even if you say them, and that's how I got in, and that's how alignment became a part of my coaching. Because going on my journey, I realized that, because when I started out this journey of personal development, one of the first things that I came in contact with was manifestation and the law of attraction, right? That was a big thing at that time when I got into this space. And as I dove deeper into that, what I realized was that the law of attraction is not just the law of attraction, it's actually a spiritual practice, right? And because we become what we are, right? We attract what we are, we become what we are. So we will attract experiences that aligns with us. We'll attract people that aligns with us. We'll attract situations that align with us, and this also ties into our vibration. It's such spirit and energy. It's such a fascinating thing. You could talk about it all day, but the point is, we attract, we become, we get experiences that aligns with who we are, and that inner work affects what we're able to say, and say in truth, not just say, but say in truth, you know. Dr. Bennett, if you'll allow me, I wanted to add one more thing to your 20 list. So it's now 21. Moving your body, running, walking, yoga, gym, something. Move your body, dancing, move your body, because energy, your energy gets stuck within your physical body. Earlier, I mentioned how the experiences that we have don't just happen in our heads and but our mind is in our entire body. So that movement allow us to shift and completely remove that energy from within us. So the energy of fear and sadness, movement, if you notice, and this is why it's being done more and more now, but exercise is being recommended as a tool for healing depression, because of it helps to get those feel good emotions that run us high, or that whatever you get when you go to the gym, when you move your body. It's really, really vital to your, not just your emotional well-being, but also your spiritual well-being.
I thank you for that, and I will add it to the practice. I noticed I forgot my breath work. The breath work. We did some breath work yesterday where we inhale to 4 counts, breathe
Mm-hmm.
in and breathe out to 4
I
counts
actually
again.
thought you had that, because I had gotten up earlier when you were earlier in your list, which is why I didn't mention it, because I thought you had it.
I did not have it in here, so we have movement and breath work. So now we got 22. You know what? I feel like we're on our way to 30
Who
because we
knows?
have 22. We only need 8 more, and I bet we
Yeah.
will come up with 8 more.
Mm-hmm.
I learned something in spiritual practice with these ladies I was on with them. It's called For God's Glory Ministry, and for 7 weeks we were doing a talk on Prosperity Plus with a lady named Mary Morrissey. It is um, her class. I will send you the details so you can see what it's about. But she talked about our 6 mental faculties, and that's what I learned. In that, I will share them with you. Um, you may want to write these down. We each have 6 mental faculties, and it's W, the first one, our will, meaning our willingness to do something, our strength, the idea we get in our head to think to do something. Then we have I for imagination. So whatever we envision in our mind, our visualization, whether it be positive or negative, imagination. The third one is intuition, us using our gut feelings. Have you ever felt like inside of yourself you had some maybe intuition about something?
All the
That
time.
is that is from God. That is one of our 6 mental faculties. And your personality dictates which of the 6 you rely on the most. So you have will, I told you imagination, I share with you intuition. The fourth mental faculty God gave us is our memory. Our ability to recall something helps us. It's how we form patterns, it's how we understand our world. We use our memory in order to do some of that. Memory since I've had a challenge there, I was asking, well, thanking, grateful that God healed my memory because it allowed me to do things. So even now, when I have a spate of challenges, I'm like, oh, no, no, no. I'm healed in my memory. So it's going to come to me. And I'll be like, Holy Spirit, help, bring it back. Wherever it's at, go find it, bring it to me. I'm waiting for you. Come on, unfile it and show me where it's at. Because my mind is a mansion. It's got many rooms with epic information in each room. So then there's the memory. The next one is a P, perception,
Mm.
how we perceive things. And if you notice, the world culture starts with cult. The world culture, the world cult, they attempt to manage and influence our perceptions
Mm-hmm.
of things, of situations, of each other. When I see you, Sharika, when I think of you, I think of spiritual wellness and joy. That's what comes to my mind. That's what's in my perception. That is how I see you. Okay? So when I encounter people and I'm meeting with them, one of the things that I always want to do is look through them or perceive them through spiritual eyes. I had a very difficult boss last year, very difficult. And I pray for him continually. I wished him the best. I wasn't trying to get my lick back. I just wished him well. And I asked God to let me see him through spiritual eyes. And that helped me in that and to endure. Because I went through like a whole year of negative feedback. An entire
Wow.
year of negative feedback.
No positives.
Maybe two times. Two times. I remember the two times. That's good. That's a good memory. I remember two times.
I mean, it shouldn't be. You shouldn't be able to remember the number of good times, man. It
They
should be
were great.
overflowing good times. Wow,
Yes,
that's
when I got the
crazy.
feedback at first, I was like, wow, this is going to be great. And then I got the rain down of the other stuff. So, but to be able to perceive him through spiritual eyes is what allowed me to continue to take the negative feedback for more than a year. I just thought to myself, oh, that's his way of working. I'll be okay. So, oh, so then that, and then I have one more for you. R, reason. Our reasoning and our logical thinking. God gave us all six of these. These are our six mental faculties, and we'll rely on them to perform certain actions. And all of them are part of the blueprint for manifestation and the blueprint for solving problems. You use all six of these.
I found the scripture that's in an
Say it, say
introduction.
it, say it. I would love to hear.
So it was in it's in the conclusion section. So it says it's Philippians 4:68. Be careful for nothing, but in
Mm-hmm.
everything by prayer and supplication with thanksgiving, let your requests be known unto God. And the peace of God which passeth all understanding shall keep your hearts and minds through Christ Jesus. Finally, brethren, whatsoever things are true, whatsoever things are honest, whatsoever things are just, whatsoever things are pure, whatsoever things are lovely, whatsoever things are of good report, if there be any virtue and if there be any praise, think on these things. So, this is where your focus should be.
Sharika, I cannot wait till we dig in and tie up and do that one.
Yeah.
When we
Think
sit
on
there and
these
do the
things.
power of focus and then talk about the focus. Oh my gosh. What a time will we have because we can unpack that one.
Oh, yeah.
That will walk a long way on its own, don't it? It's
Mm-hmm.
powerful.
Mm-hmm. Because it's hard to be honest.
Mm.
It's hard to be just. It's hard to be pure. It's hard to be lovely in our world, in the world that we live in. And it's funny. This book. It's such a simple book, but I think it's a powerful book because there is a day in here when I said when I ask that people look for beauty in the simplest of things, because we live in a world with a lot of ugliness, and what we focus on is really what we attract. And if we get up every day and we say the sky is falling, the sky is falling, the sky is going to fall on you. But if we tune out of that for a moment, and if we purposefully look for things that are truly beautiful and amazing, if we search for those experiences, that is, we will find them, because what we focus on is what expands in our reality. So when you get up and you purposefully in the mornings, you purposefully take that time to focus on what's amazing about life, what's beautiful about life, what's you're grateful for, what you're letting go of, what beautiful experiences you had the day before, you find that you get more of that.
I agree. I fully concur because I've experienced that.
Mhm. Mhm.
I've experienced that. Even in these times that we're in there right now, the focus is chaos media. Every time they come on, they report such terrible news. It comes to my phone. I'm like, huh, do not want it.
Yeah, I make it so that's also in here. Avoid the news. So in the instruction section of this book, I have, for the next 30 days, avoid the news. And if you have to watch your news for your, just watch the headlines. You know, and I did that on purpose because the news is there as a fear tactic. And when we live in fear, we're back to the fight or flight response, right? Which is our automatic fear response. And what people don't know is that when you are constantly in the fight or flight response, you are wearing down your immune system. Now your immune system is your protective barrier. It's what keeps you healthy in your body, what keeps your body and mind healthy. And when that has fallen away because you're constantly, so just imagine you have a motorcycle, right? It's filled with gas. However, it's not meant to go 24 hours, 40 hours, 50 hours, 60 hours without stopping and resting, right? So you are riding across the US and you go across 50 states and you never stop the bike. It's going to be destroyed. So, what we do when we pay attention to all the chaos that's happening in the world, and for those of us who are unable to compartmentalize and say, okay, that's happening, yes, and I should be concerned, yes, but at the same time, I cannot get so consumed by it that it affects how I focus, what I focus on. And what we don't realize is when we do that, we are wearing our immune system down. So you find that you start to get stressed and you start to get sick easily, and nothing, you are no longer resistant to anything. And before you know it, you have heart conditions here, you have high blood pressure there, you have, yeah, and it all ties into what we focus on. So the
I
so the
agree.
news, it's if you have to watch the news, headlines only.
I follow you. I feel like even I want to abandon the headlines because the headlines are even terrible.
And
But um,
it's
one
funny
thing.
too because
Mhm.
sometimes you see the headlines and then you read the news and you go, but that's not what the headline was saying, because the headline is there to jerk you, to
Mhm.
say duck and cover kind of thing, and that's what it does.
It's a fear-based headline.
Mm-hmm.
Well, what I'm going to do, my husband and I, we're at the Great Wolf in Webster, Texas. We're at the Great Wolf, and he's helping me prepare for checkouts. And I don't know if I'm going to transition to my telephone, but I want to give us a few minutes, and we'll take a break. And And in the meantime, I have the map of consciousness. I have it
Mm,
on my iPad here. And the reason I know I have it is because it was something I kept saying, oh, this is useful. We should use it again. They gave me, it was Pastor Tahita that introduced me to the map of consciousness. And when she showed it to me, it was such a great and grand awakening. So I had that. I had the ladder of accountability, and then we did the map of consciousness. Have you heard of that ladder of accountability?
I'm not sure now.
Okay, I gotta make sure we get that. I'm gonna look for it in my notes here because I have my own media assets. In the meantime, I wanted to ask you, did you want to talk about Bloom a little bit? I want to give you the stage. I want you to talk about Bloom some more. And I also put the registration in the chat.
Okay. So I mentioned earlier this morning that Bloom was born several years ago, well, multiple years ago. Um, and it was born out of the passion that I had to create a space for healing for others. So why? Because I had seen what my healing journey did for me, what release did for me, what forgiveness did for me, what letting go of the trauma did for me. And I wanted to create a space for others to be able to do that as well because it is so freeing. Finding that level of peace, finding that level of compassion, finding God in a space of release, of surrender, coming to know yourself, getting to identify with the magnificence of your own being is a phenomenal experience. And yes, we are frail human beings, and it doesn't take much to take us out, but we're also phenomenal on a physical level, but on a spiritual level, we are magnificent creatures. And we carry within us the love of God, we carry within us the Spirit of God. But most times that is cut off through traumatic experiences and limited negative thinking, not understanding our own power and our own worth and our own value, not understanding the force that we have with us, not understanding the power that we have to create and to change a situation and to speak life into a situation and to speak life into another person, not understanding the power that we have to change a generation with one or two action steps. So I wanted to create a space for that where people could come into that space and help them, and I could help them to realize how magnificent we truly are. And as I mentioned earlier to Dr. Bennett, that when you go through a rough experience in life or many rough experiences or whatever you go through, we all have our own battles fighting on our own journeys. We're all on our own journeys. When we go through a traumatic experience, we get two options, right? Option one, we can sit in the bitter anger and the fear and we can duck and cover. Or option two, we can choose love. And when you choose love, it's amazing. It just, it's like deliverance. It takes you from a space of wilderness to a flourishing fruited garden with flowers over here and herbs over there and fruit trees over here, if that makes any sense. But I have experienced the love of God and the oneness with spirit on a level that has brought me so much peace. And this feeling is not a feeling that is always there. But whenever you do get it, it reminds you that you are so much more than your physical being. It reminds you that you're not alone. It reminds you that you're okay. And it doesn't matter what life throws at you, you are okay. So I wanted to share that with others. I wanted to be able to, if it's even to give someone else a glimpse of the kind of peace that could be experienced if they just let go of the past, if they learn to forgive, and if they learn to find the level and depth of love that exists within themselves. So that's what bloom is. That is what bloom is all about, essentially.
Well, I'm excited for Bloom. I found the map of consciousness and I found the ladder of accountability. So I'm going to put them on show now. Let me see if it'll let me. And there we go. Let's show the source. I have it right here. Image. Do. I don't know if you can see it yet. I hope you can see it.
No, not yet.
It says add a media. I don't see it. I'll add my screen. You can't share the screen. Slides. Oh, I see it. Do you see that map of consciousness?
Mm-hmm. It's very
It's very tiny.
yeah.
Yeah, I don't like that one so much. Let me get the other. Let me see if my other will show. But if you would like us to send you the map of consciousness, we'll certainly be happy to share it with you. One
Send
sec.
that to me, Dr. Bennett. I need to see how it differs from the the vibrational chart.
Okay, because I think the vibration, hold on.
It looks very similar to the vibrational chart. Actually, it's the same thing. It's just
I
this
think it's the same thing.
it's
I
this
just
is
think it's,
outlined very differently. But yeah, send that to me.
I will, because I think that it's very similar
Mm-hmm.
to
It
the
is
one that I
very
like to use.
similar. It's more this is more detailed, but it's the same thing. The vibrational chart has shame and guilt at the bottom, just like that one does, and at the top, empowerment, peace, love, unconditional love. Yeah, it's the same thing. But send that to me. I want to have a look at what is the
This one is the one I'm used to. Do you see the difference?
okay. This is clearer, but
This one I think
I
is the
like
one I
this.
see the most.
I like this. But it's the same thing as the vibrational chart. It's just that it explains what goes with the levels, you know? So
Yeah.
for shame, humiliation, miserable, despising, and yeah, so it's more detailed. So I like this. This is good.
So I'm going to send you this one plus the other one you saw that had the arrows along the side. I just
Mm-hmm.
think this one's landscape and the other one's portrait. I don't know.
Yeah.
So I
But
will
I
send
really
this
do
to you.
like this because as I said, it goes in more detail. But yeah, remember I was talking about the unforgiveness and what happens when we hold on to things. So down there you see that shame and the guilt and the apathy and the grief, the fear, the desire, the anger, all of that desire to cause harm, and yeah, all of that is down there.
In that space.
Yeah, in that space. And
Notice
we
that it's really red,
mm-hmm.
kind of hellified.
Yeah.
Notice it's full of hell, a lot of hotness, a
Yeah.
lot of heat in that area. But then as you
Yeah.
vibrate upward, it cools off some, doesn't it?
Mhm. Mhm.
It goes into the violet space, which is where I love to be, in
Yeah.
the transcendent space, in the joy and the spiritual space. So that's what makes the spiritual Sunday very important
Yeah.
because it allows us to just simply dwell on what we've learned from the Lord and allow that to influence our thinking, right?
Yeah. Absolutely. So
And
that bottom part is the part that we want to avoid, and it's difficult, but it's also not difficult.
mm,
So what we have to do is we have to become super aware of what's going on in our heads. And meditation is one way of doing that, but becoming super aware of what's going on in your head. So review your days, review your thought process, pay attention to what you're thinking when you're about to take an action step. And if you're feeling shame, pay attention to why you're feeling shame, what you're feeling shame about, what are you guilty about, and is the thing that you're guilty about really the thing that you're guilty about? Because and 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 we have to come face to face, and this is what I call deep work. We have to come face to face with the things that are eating at us. So if you're feeling guilty about something, it means that you'd have felt that you've done something wrong. But you could also look at it as you've done something that you didn't have prior knowledge of a better way of doing it, you know, or you had a moment of weakness or something. And from that space, you can let that go. And I think a lot of guilt and shame comes from this idea that we should be perfect, despite the fact that perfection is not a thing. It li- it's not
Only perfection exists in God.
there. Yeah, it's not a thing. The only perfection and the example that I love to use is here in Jamaica when you're out by Palisados. That's where our airport and Port Royal is. When you're out there and you're standing on shore, you see that the ocean is above you. You can
Hmm.
literally see that the ocean is above you. So here is this humongous body of water that is sitting above you. You're standing below it, it's sitting above you, and the waves are crashing inshore and they're not reaching you, right? And that's how I generally explain the perfection of God, the love of God, and the creativity and everything, the amazingness of God. That's how I generally explain that. I use that example everywhere I go. That is perfection. But outside of that, it does not exist. And I think its non-existence is what gives us the ability to continue to strive towards something better always. And that is built into us. We're always aiming to make something better, to create something more, to improve something. And I think perfection does not exist so that we can continuously grow and become. So, and I'm speaking from somewhere where someone from a place of as an experienced person in guilt and shame as well, right? There is nothing for us to be ashamed of and to be guilty of, because what shame and guilt does is actually pull you into more experiences that causes you shame and guilt. It's so funny.
Okay.
It's
It's
so
like it's ongoing. It's an ongoing cycle.
yes, it is. And so we have to get to a place where we release that, and this is where the self-forgiveness comes in again, because we have to know that we're on a journey, and on this journey we're here to learn and we're here to grow. And if you don't, nobody starts out having all of the tools and the instructions. You get them along the way, and sometimes that involves you falling down in order to get them. So we have to get comfortable with the idea of not getting it right the first time, the second time, sometimes the 20th time. But what matters is that you're learning and growing from these experiences. So continuous observation of your actions and your thinking is a magnificent way to let go of that guilt, shame, that to move up the levels of consciousness. I don't believe that there are any mistakes to be made. I believe that we're just learning lessons and growing from them. And if you are in a place in your life where you realize that you are constantly having the same kinds of experiences, I want you to sit down and take a minute and pay attention. because in America, I think you guys have GED, right?
Mm-hmm.
So life is like a class. If you if you fail math, if you need to go and do a chemistry, a degree in one of the sciences, you need chemistry and physics, right? You need probably applied mathematics. If you go to the math class or chemistry class and you fail, and if you're adamant that you must get this degree, then you're going to have to resit that class. And that's what life is. Life will constantly throw experiences at you for you to grow in that area. And until you stop and say, wait, why am I constantly doing the same thing over and over? You will be stuck because you're not learning the lessons, so you're not moving on. If you're not learning the lesson, you're not moving on. So if you're not learning to forgive, people are going to continue to hurt you. If you're not learning to love, life is going to give you experiences to give you an opportunity to love. If you're not getting stronger and the next step of your life requires you to be strong, life is constantly going to give you experiences for you to rise in strength. If you are not faithful, if you lack faith, life is going to give you opportunities to strengthen your faith, because this is the area in which you need to grow in order for you to become the person that is ready, capable, and able to do the thing that you were called to do.
That is so profound. When you are talking, one thing that kept pinging in my brain, I kept saying, the repeated experience is how you climb the ladder of accountability. Do you see it there?
Mm-hmm.
Well, we're going to talk through it and walk through it together. Remember, you were saying that you have to repeat the class. People all start at the bottom.
Yep.
We're unaware or unconscious of the victim behaviors that we're using.
Mm-hmm.
It benefits us. And then our next step is that, oh, we blame others. They made me mad.
Yep.
They got me upset. They
Mm-hmm.
triggered me.
Yep.
Blame others.
Yep.
The next one is personal excuses.
Mm-hmm.
I can't handle it when I'm triggered. I'm going to go off. It's going to be bad, you know, with the personal excuses. Then the next thing is, I can't. I can't change. I can't be any different than I am right now.
Yeah,
I
this is who
can't
I've
do
always
this.
been.
That people hang out there. Then the next one is to wait and hope. Wait and hope something good happens.
Mm-hmm.
It's still, so I'm about to move and transition so I can get blessings up so that we can leave
Mm-hmm.
the hotel. But at that wait and hope line is the victim behaviors are all beneath that. So give me one moment.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you for your patience. So we have that wait and hope strategy that we're using, the victim behaviors, but above the line is where we start to win, where we're acknowledging reality, confronting reality, understanding reality. Like the reality is we gotta move, we gotta be out this joint at by 11. That's the reality. And my reality, she's still floating on her cloud. She's so beautiful. I made her go to bed, but not early enough because now I'm going to have to move her into the physical realm because she's still on her cloud. She's in her anointed state. They are anointed while they are sleeping, these children. They are anointed as they sleep. So I refer to them sleeping as their anointed state because they're
Mm.
not. They're
Okay.
dreaming, they're climbing, they're doing whatever they're doing in their dreams. So As we acknowledge and confront reality, as we understand what the realities are, then we can move up and then we can embrace it. We can say, this is what must happen. This is what we intend to do. Then we start finding solutions. That's why God gave us our six mental faculties to help us uncover those solutions. That's why He put our mind this way. And the thing about it, when we talk about finding solutions, we have three minds. We have the socialized mind, the first mind we get when we come out of school. That's how we're able to deal with polite society. We know how to listen. We know how to have conversations. We know how to treat people. We learn how to behave. That's first mind, socialized mind. Your second mind is your self authoring mind. It's when you decided to become a realtor, a coach, a leader, a parent. That's your self authoring mind. That's your second mind, where you decided to be who you are right now today. Then your third mind, you're living in it right now. You're going to school for psychology. You're in your self transforming mind. That's where you change who you are and become someone new. So you're in your next phase of becoming, and that's your third mind. And you're finding solutions right now for how you're going to achieve that. And I am touching and agreeing with you that I will bear witness when you graduate. I'll be there to celebrate you
Absolutely. I look
and
forward
to
to
honor
it.
you and to honor you.
Definitely looking forward to that.
When is that, Sharika? When are we
Well,
graduating?
I just finished first year and I'm part
Okay,
time. So in 3 years, I intend to be out in 3 years. So this is 2025 by 2028.
I will come there and I will watch you walk the stage.
Oh, I'd love that.
I will be there.
I'd
And the
definitely
last thing is make it happen. That's the last. That's the top.
make it happen.
So I will be there to watch you make it happen. All right. So we're going to go into a 10-minute break. In the 10 minutes, I propose that I will be on the phone the next time you see me, that I will be in the car the next time you see me. So this is going to be a really epic 10 minutes. And what I want to do is I'm going to yield the stage to you, Sharika, for you to have time to talk. You told them about Bloom, but I also want them to hear about your stuff that you're doing in real estate in Jamaica. You talked about it briefly to us, but I would like to review that for those that may have missed it on a prior day, because I feel like there's great opportunity there, and I would definitely love for them to hear about it. So when we come back from the 10 minutes, I'm going to yield the stage to you, and you will go off and talk about the potentiality in the real estate market in Jamaica, because I was
Okay.
fascinated by it, and I
Mm-hmm.
believe they would be too. And did you have any other message that you would like to share? I know we talked about Bloom, but
Oh yeah, I also want to talk about coaching for men.
ooh, I would definitely love to hear you talk about coaching for men. You, if you have time to do that, that would be phenomenal.
Yeah, I can talk about that when we get back. I also need to
Okay,
take that break. So,
okay, me too.
let's
So I'm
go
gonna break
and
and move,
mm-hmm.
and I'll see you shortly.
All right, love. See you in a
Be
minute.
well.
Hello, everyone. Good morning again. Um, we've met from morning, so there's no need for further introduction. My name is Shari Kaswebi. So the first thing I want to start off this morning is an introduction to freedom. If you don't have your copy as yet, go out and pick up your copy. This is by far, not to toot my own horn, but this is an amazing tool to get you started on your spiritual journey, your forgiveness journey, your personal growth journey. It it's a small book, but it encompasses many of the tools that you need in order to make it to your next level, in order to stop surviving and start thriving, in order to get out of victim mode, in to learn to forgive and to learn the art of gratitude, which is one of the most phenomenal tools you can have in your belt. So go out and pick up a copy. It's available on Amazon. An Introduction to Freedom, the 30-Day Happiness Challenge by Sharika Swebe. And this challenge is meant for you to do over and over again until you've perfected the craft. It will teach you basic skills that you should have been taught from early on in your life, that will allow you to have a better life, to live a better life, to live cleaner, to live freer, to just be whole, right? So that's the first thing I want to talk to you about. The next thing I want to talk to you about is bloom. See this young lady and at the back of the book, right? That's me. Now, this is me in the early stages of my blooming. And this picture was taken on my veranda during COVID. But this is me in the early stages of my blooming, and why I believe so much in what I do and in the event that I'm putting on called Bloom, which you can join us online for. The reason why I believe so much in it is this young lady that is at the back of this book, that is smiling and looks happy, was not always so, right? I used to be sad. I remember when I was growing up, a common question that I would get when I was walking through my street on the streets in my community was, what's wrong with you, right? People were always asking me, what's wrong with you? Nothing was wrong with me. That was my default. If I'm not talking to somebody or laughing with someone about something, my default look on my face would be sadness. And even now, that is the case sometimes, because it was something that was practiced for so many years that it's become my set mode. The only difference is now I may look that way, but inside I'm much, much happier. I'm much more present. I'm much more at peace, right? But I was a sad girl from I was a child. I had colorism issues, I had daddy issues, I had so many different things that were plaguing me as an individual, and some of them I was not even aware of. And so I walked around sad, right? And when you look back at my photos right up to 2020, I remember when my daughter was christened, and when I look back at those photographs, when my daughter was christened, I was probably about 24 or something like that. There was not a single smile on my face. All of the pictures that we took, no smile on my face, right? There was no smile on my face. I never smiled, particularly in photographs. I imagine I would have smiled otherwise, but when it comes to photograph, when it comes to other people seeing me, when it comes to me showing myself to the world, I was not up for that. My life got to a stage where I needed, I was looking for something more. I was now pregnant with my son. The other day I was on the TV and I said 2018, but it was 2016. I was now pregnant with my son, well, 2015 to 2016. I was now pregnant with my son, and I was reflecting on my life. And I didn't see where I had done the things that I wanted to do with my life or that I dreamed of doing with my life. It wasn't what I wanted. It wasn't what I imagined it would be. And that made me even more sad, right? I wasn't happy. I wasn't happy. And clearly, I was never happy. So I started to question everything. And I started to read again like I used to when I was younger. And interestingly enough, the first thing I read was not a personal development book. The first book I read was The Secret Garden. And I read it on my phone at night. I was working from home. I read it on my phone one night, but I started reading it one night after work while everybody, my daughter and my spouse at the time, was asleep. That's where I started reading again. The Secret Garden. Now, I had watched this movie, I think, or I had read the story before, but this time when I read the story, it was a different story. And from there, I began to question everything. I began to question everything. And with the questions came more questions and little answers. So I went on search in search of answers. And so I found the personal development. My spouse had introduced me to Les Brown a couple years before. I don't think anything had stick at the time, but I went into personal development. I started to listening to people. I started to listen to people like Les Brown and others, and I started to read. I read books like Think and Grow, Rich, The Magic of Thinking Big, The Power of the Subconscious Mind. And I was reading, and I read everything that I came across, and I watched every video, and I listened to everything, and I was learning. I was sucking everything up. I was a giant sponge, and I was just sucking everything up. And it came to a point in my journey where I realized that my thinking had put me where I was in my life. The level of sadness that I had experienced, that I was experiencing throughout my life, had perpetuated into the moment that was where I was still sad. And I was always searching for that something more. So I never stayed home. Every chance I got, I left home. I went to some cousin or my sister's or my mother's friend because I always wanted more out of my life. I always knew that there could be more. And so my journey began, and I realized that I had thought myself into my life. And with that came more questions, and with those questions, I kept searching for answers. And with that search, I found some answers. One of the things I found was gratitude. Another thing I found was forgiveness, which was the most powerful tool that I found. That tool in particular had me crying on my living room carpet, just laying there, forgiving my dad, forgiving my mother, forgiving childhood friends, forgiving childhood experiences. Another experience that had me crying was kindness. So, a part of the gratitude section of my book, I spoke about kindness. One act of kindness in particular was where I wrote down, I sat and I wrote down, I kept writing and I wrote every act of kindness that I could remember having experienced. And that taught me that I was never alone. I always had help and so on. And that was such a I was so grateful for that experience. So I put it in the book also because I think it's amazing. But from all of that learning that I was doing, I got to a point where I felt like I was overflowing. And I always knew that I was to teach something, but I didn't think I was to be a preacher, and I didn't think I was to be